The duel that helped build the Constitution. Americans like to imagine the Constitution was built by calm men in careful rooms. Powdered wigs, polite debate, reason conquering passion. Sometimes that happened, and sometimes the men building a republic behaved like offended aristocrats with pistols. My name is Benedict. No, not that one. Today, I will tell you about the duel that helped build the Constitution. The year was 1778. America was still at war. The Revolution was not yet secure, and George Washington, though revered now, was not beyond criticism then. After the Battle of Monmouth, one of Washington's generals, Charles Lee, began speaking of him with open contempt. Lee had once been a respected officer, eccentric, experienced, proud. He also believed, with great sincerity, that he was smarter than nearly everyone around him. At Monmouth, Lee had led an American advance badly. The attack faltered. Washington rode into the chaos and confronted him in full view of the army. It was one of the rare moments Washington's temper was seen in public. Lee never forgave the humiliation. Soon after, he began writing insulting remarks about Washington, not merely questioning his judgment, but attacking his character. That mattered, because in the revolutionary generation, public life and personal honor were tied together. To insult a man's reputation was not a side matter. It was a challenge, and among gentlemen, challenges had a way of becoming literal. One of Washington's fiercest young allies was John Laurens of South Carolina. Brilliant, brave, impulsive. The sort of man Providence creates when it wishes to test whether courage and recklessness are, in fact, cousins. Laurens could not tolerate Lee's insults, so he challenged him to a duel. Think about that. A revolution is underway. The army is fragile. The cause is unfinished. And two American officers are preparing to shoot each other over wounded pride. They met in December of 1778. Pistols drawn. Honor at stake. Laurens fired first and wounded Lee in the side. Lee fired and missed. The matter, by the strange logic of the age, was considered settled. No one had died. Honor had been answered, and the Republic staggered onward. Now, why does this matter? Because this was not merely a dramatic footnote. It revealed a deep problem in the founding generation. The men creating American self-government still carried the instincts of the old world. They spoke of liberty, representation, and the rights of man. But they also lived inside a culture of pride, rank, personal slights, and ritual violence. They wanted a republic. They still behaved at times like aristocrats. That tension mattered enormously, because a nation cannot be governed for long if every insult becomes a private war. A free people need laws stronger than ego, institutions stronger than pride, processes stronger than personality. That is part of what the Constitution would later attempt to provide. Not perfection. No parchment can do that. But structure. Channels. A way for ambition to compete without constantly reaching for the pistol. The founders learned, slowly and imperfectly, that self-government required more than courage against a king. It required discipline among themselves. The Constitution was not written simply because the Articles of Confederation were weak, though they were. It was also written because the nation needed a sturdier frame for public life, a frame that could survive dispute without collapsing into insult, faction, or force. The duel between Laurens and Lee did not write a single clause, but it illuminated the kind of political culture the new republic needed to outgrow. A republic of laws cannot endure if every quarrel is settled like an affair of honor. And there is one more irony worth noting. The American Revolution was fought against inherited power, old hierarchies, and the habits of monarchy. Yet even after declaring independence, its leaders did not instantly become Republican in temperament. That took longer. In some ways, it is still taking longer. The Constitution was built not only from ideals, but from warnings. Warnings about disorder, warnings about weakness, and warnings about the dangerous vanity of men. John Laurens and Charles Lee fought with pistols. The Constitution, years later, was part of a larger answer, that a republic must give passionate men something better to do than shoot at one another over honor. And sometimes, the story of America is not how quickly men became wise, but how narrowly they escaped the consequences of being otherwise.